show with Barbie.
Wow.
Energy's up.
I have not been able to take one sip of my coffee yet, folks. It's too hot.
Mind Motors.
What? Mine isn't hot. That's weird.
Mind Motors.
Maybe my mouth is just burned. Sorry. Go ahead.
Welcome to podcasting. Here's how it starts. Me and Salem talking about coffee. Michael tries to start the cast.
I'm the odd man out. I've got some tea in a tumbler. So all you Mind Motors out there, go back a few episodes. Listen to our episode about caffeine. Hope
Hold
you
on.
get some caffeine next
You want
year.
me to hit the rewind button?
Yeah, let's... Alright. So we hope you got some caffeine. We're going to have a speedy podcast. Speaking at 100 miles an hour, I'm trying to get through this cast.
I was fast forwarding.
Oh.
But you kept talking.
It didn't.
It didn't really. The effect didn't really land.
Dang it. Alright, so if this is your first time listening to the My Mo podcast, we've got 3 people on the cast today. That's usually how many we have. I'm the Honorable Michael, and my other 2 hosts.
I'm I'm Dr. Matthew, PhD.
I'm Stanlin.
Of
Professor
medicine.
Stanlin of medicine. Professor Stanlin of...
Also, did I mention I'm a judge?
Wait.
I'm the judge.
No.
Oh, you've got a JD.
I'm all 3 now.
Wow.
Oh.
I've kind of taken on some extra
Like-
responsibility since the last cast. It's been a while since we've recorded. This is the first.
That's a relief.
However,
Hey.
this is the first we've recorded since premiering the cast. So
I've got some of those more obscure degrees. I got a telepathic medicine degree.
QED.
So I'm a shaman.
What is QED?
I'm a witch doctor. I'm Michael. Well, almost said my last name there. Michael.
Aubrey Graham.
Michael W.D. Witch doctor.
You got a CPA.
Yeah, you got a CPA. You got a DDS.
JD.
D&D. JPG.
MPH.
JPG.
I got a USB. First off, before we get started on the cast, if you want to get a shout out or want to send some information to us,
This
go
is
ahead.
Totally new to me.
I'm not gonna
Go
shout
ahead and
anyone out.
email us at mindmodepodcast@gmail.com. So I'll shout you out. Stanlin won't. Anyways, so Matthew, you were doing a fast forward sign.
I'm gonna criticize you if you email us. You're gonna get the full gamut here. If you can send us an email, Michael will shout you out. I will criticize you, and Stanlin
I
will.
won't say anything.
He's gonna sort of recuse
Giving it
himself.
the silent treatment.
Yeah, you're gonna get a full range of opinions from our Mind Mode hosts. So
Be ready for that.
if you write a very nice email like, "Wow, I really enjoyed the cast," Matthew's gonna say, "Hey, why don't you spell something correctly, you dum dum?"
That's what I usually say.
That's what the emails, text messages he sends to me. So we don't text; we only email.
Yeah.
On this cast. So Matthew, you made a fast forward
Yeah, I was
noise
doing-
earlier.
What are you talking about? I was fast forwarding the podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, well, how
That
about you
was-
go ahead and fast forward that cast again? Whoa. I felt like...
What is happening? Hold on. I want to take a second here. There's been an
How could
epidemic-
we did something.
There's
We
been an-
fast forwarded without rewinding. We went into the future.
Stop. There's been an epidemic on podcasts recently. Of
Okay.
Podcast voice.
Podcast
What is
voice.
Podcast
Michael starts
voice.
speaking in podcast voice, and it's impossible to break through his sentence.
Alright. I'm going to speak in human voice now.
It's very difficult to converse when Michael goes into podcast.
I'm out of
voice.
podcast voice.
What are we talking about today, guys?
Talking about Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein. Here's a guy who definitely had no problems breaking out of the box,
Mm-hmm.
the shell,
Yeah.
So Albert
the
was...
state of mind.
Albert, first name basis.
Yeah, well... Some people call him Dr. Einstein, but...
What's the big deal?
Yeah.
Why him?
Who?
Albert Einstein BD. Big deal.
Alright.
Albert Einstein, ST, Shark Tank.
Shark Tank. What? Run that one by
Hey,
me again.
all
What does
right.
that mean exactly?
Our
Look,
viewers
what
out
do we
there.
really know about Albert Einstein?
Hold on. Let me tell you something. A lot of people say Albert's smart. Okay, first off, if you're a smart guy or a smart girl, smart woman, you win a Nobel
you.
Prize. There's
Yeah,
no
it's not
Albert in the
guy
name.
who's
There's
smart,
no
yeah.
Einstein. So I want to present a scenario here. If back in podcast, this is how I always speak. I want to present a situation for y'all.
It's
If Albert Einstein went in front of the 5 judges on Shark Tank
Uh-huh.
and
Mark
said,
Cuban.
"Hey, I got an idea for you.
yeah, let's name
I
it.
got a lot of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thesis."
Yeah.
What do you think the sharks would say?
That doesn't make any
I
money.
would say I want
Except
5...
the bomb. That probably made a lot of money.
Yeah.
The bomb.
Yeah.
What bomb? you
Nuclear
The
bomb.
H-bomb.
made? He didn't make that.
Yeah, it's part of the Manhattan
No, it was
Project.
Dr. Manhattan.
Oh,
it's part of
yeah,
the
you're right.
Dr. Manhattan Project.
It's on there.
It was Dr. Manhattan. I am death, life of all men.
I've become like life in that I'm handing out wads of fat cash.
I'm Adam and Eve.
Atom.
So you're saying
And
that Albert Einstein, for him to be a genius, he had to have the approval of the 5 sharks.
I mean, not the approval. He had to have come say, "Look, sharks, I got a deal for y'all today. The universe is made of atoms. Time travels faster when you're moving slower, and
Mhm.
you experience time at a slower rate when you're traveling fast. Boom. I'm going to need $200,000 to put this on paper."
Wait, does time travel faster when you're moving slow?
We're going to get to that in a second.
Okay.
Michael has he's giving a lecture today on Einstein's
Lecture.
relative.
Wait, where did your interest in Einstein come from?
Yeah, can we just talk?
Wikipedia.
Okay.
Seriously, what got you onto Einstein?
So I was checking out the periodic table.
Michael sends me a text a couple weeks ago. He says I think
Checking
we got
out
on,
the period.
we got on Discord or something, and I was like really tired after work or something. I can't remember. And Michael just starts going off about Albert Einstein, and I was just like, uh-huh.
Yeah, Matt was an avid.
you were like, dude, the speed of light is the key to everything. And I was like playing a game. I don't know what I was doing. I was just like, yeah.
First off, I want to talk a little bit about Albert. What a nerd.
Yeah, he's a big
What a
freaking nerd.
What a dork.
But he did bad in school.
Yeah, kick him out.
You know, I heard this story about Einstein one time. There was
Yeah.
a professor who said, God isn't real.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Albert Einstein stood up in front of the class and he said,
In his military uniform.
in his military uniform, and bald eagle crowed.
So Nietzsche,
And he got an A on his paper.
Nietzsche,
Let's bring it back to Nietzsche. Turn over the
Freud.
currents.
Were Nietzsche and Freud alive
They
at
were
the same
friends.
time as Albert?
I think they were alive. Yeah,
So when
they were
Albert,
alive in the time of the mind.
when Albert,
Wait, let's do a timeline here. Nietzsche was before Freud? And Freud was before Einstein?
Nietzsche was
It
like
was all at the same
late
time.
19th
Oh, really?
century,
Okay.
but they were all alive at the same time. So when Sigmund, Albert, and Friedrich, is that how you say his name?
Frederick?
Frederic.
Frederick.
Frederick.
We're gonna call Nietzsche Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
When they would go get a beer
F
or maybe a cocktail, Nietzsche would be like, "Hey man, I had a great weekend.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you do, Albert?"
This sounds exactly like Nietzsche's voice, by the way.
And Sigmund
This is
would
what
be
he
like,
say.
Sigmund would be like, "Hey man, been thinking a lot.
Uh-huh.
What's going on up in that brain?
I've been thinking a lot.
Been thinking a lot."
And then Einstein said, I've been thinking a lot as well.
And then Einstein said, "Oh, man, I came up with this equation," and Sigmund and Friedrich would go, "Oh, fucking
Math?
nerd!
Dude,
What are you thinking about?"
We're around here thinking. You're putting stuff on paper?
Yeah, wait, you didn't even finish school.
Yeah. He didn't
So-
finish school because of the
Is
professor.
that true?
This was a rumored. This is a story.
Okay.
I heard this from some big intellectuals.
I got an email
no
about
I have a lot of correspondence with Nobel Prize winners, and they said there was one weekend they found Albert Einstein in a bathroom, just hurling into the toilet. He went on a binge, because you got drunk because his theories were so incorrect, so dumb. Couldn't come up with anything. So
what? I'm lost. We've really ping-ponged with Einstein and managed to say basically nothing real, factual, or fictional.
Kind of like Albert.
I mean, there's a lot of facts being thrown around here that now they're in my brain, and I'm gonna think that Einstein never finished college.
Yeah. He was in the Marines.
That Nietzsche, Einstein, and
Freud
were best friends.
I bet Albert would feel like a small man next to intellectual giants such as ourselves.
Yeah.
True.
So Einstein has his own element, Einsteinium.
Yeah. What do the other ones have?
Why don't you come up with a better name?
Is there?
Einsteinium?
Wait,
Jeez.
he didn't
I
discover
think
that
you're
element, though. Did he?
Anyways, so
what did you want to say about Einstein when we came into this podcast, Michael?
Einstein's a smart guy. Einstein, forget everything you just said. Einstein was a smart. If you went to CVS or Walgreens and got some Smarties, you might find a little bit of Albert in there.
Now I have a question. Are we talking American Smarties, which are the fruity, chalky dessert we know and love? Or are we talking Canadian Smarties, which are more akin to M&M's?
Who would win more akin to M&M?
Who would win?
So,
In a fist fight, Einstein or
Jordan
Oppenheimer.
Peterson. To
I'm
bring
not
this into the
talking about
Canadian.
Jordan Peterson on this podcast.
I
Yeah.
don't remember who that is.
Good.
Yeah. Well, nobody will.
Stalin, you need to
Anyways.
say that straight.
So Albert. Okay, so this is what I want to talk about.
Yeah, can we get to the fucking what the fuck you wanted to talk about, Michael?
So Albert Einstein
Just
had some theories about. I
with-
can't remember. I think it's special relativity.
We're gonna start the podcast now.
I just want to say some really quick things.
Yeah, let's hit up the Einstein. We're gonna do some Einstein quick hits. So those of you who are
Quick
maybe
hits.
less familiar with Einstein, here's some very important things to know about him. Number one,
So
quick hit.
This is what I want.
We're gonna go round table style. Michael, hit
This is
one.
why I have to get in podcast mode because I don't even know what I'm saying.
Michael,
Anyways.
first quick hit. These are supposed to be quick hits.
Speed of light.
3.1000.
It's 2.99 times 10 to the 8th meters per second.
Why couldn't they just make it an even 3?
Yeah, that's why I said 3.
Yeah, why couldn't they?
Knock knock.
Hey, round it up.
Hey, big man upstairs. I got a question.
Why are you wasting everyone's time? I gotta write out these numbers. So,
Well, here's the thing. Numbers are a myth. We made up numbers.
Yeah.
So, therefore,
We could just
we
change,
could change
2.99.
because that's such a
to 3.
significant number that we discovered. We could change all numbers so that that is 3, or even 4 or 5, or 1.
Yeah.
so
But it might make it more difficult to do simple things like counting an egg,
Yeah.
because you would have to see
counting
like
an egg.
Yeah, if you saw 2.99.
What does counting an egg mean?
If you
Counting
saw
one egg.
how many eggs there are.
Hey, how many egg is that? A 1.
Oh, 2.99.
There's 1 egg here.
That's-
Yolk.
No,
But
but
one
you
would be 2.99.
you'd have to see 2.99 eggs.
Alright, so the speed of light is 2.99 times 10 to the 8th meters
Uh-huh.
per second. And Einstein figured out that every other variable in the universe is dynamic. Like it can be messed with or modified. Even space or time or...
The time variable. The space
Yes, the
variable.
variable of time.
Watch this.
But the speed of light through, I could be completely wrong about this, any medium has to be constant. It has to be 2.99 times 10 to the 8th.
You can't change.
So
lights.
everything else, including us, including time, has to bend around that to make that velocity constant. So what I started thinking about, or just what I was kind of discovering,
This is a mind
that
dive.
the phenomenon of time dilation.
Right.
If you're an object or a human being, which I don't know if you're an object.
You might be an object. We have, very diverse listener base. You might be an object. You might be a human being.
So,
could be a clock.
You could
Could be a
in
TV.
terms of time dilation, if you have a clock that's traveling close to the speed of light, like the
Right.
faster you travel, the slower that clock will tick. So if you, as a person, travel closer to the speed of light, if you are a fast person, like Usain Bolt, like he's only like 3 years old because he's running so quick.
Yeah, he runs so fast.
You will experience time at a slower rate. Is that correct? You will
Yeah.
experience less time.
Well, it's like the movie Interstellar. The closer they get to the black hole,
Didn't see that
Well,
maybe it's
just
a little bit different, but-
keeping it with
sorry, we're
speed
talking
of
about
light first. Speed of light first.
Sorry.
Just velocity, because I want to get to like mass or gravitation in a
Mhm.
second. So I've been trying to run around
This is a very
super quick.
long, quick hit.
I've been. This is my quick hit. It was all to make a big point.
No,
I
no.
am
I'm
sprinting around my home,
Here's-
sprinting down the street. Speed limits, they don't even apply to me anymore. I'm going
Uh-huh. 180
wherever I go.
Yeah,
I'm at least a year
you're
younger.
gonna live a lot longer than the rest of us.
I went to the DPS and I said,
The
"Hey,
DPS,
Department of Public
the
Safety.
DMV,
the damage per second.
DMV," and I said, "Hey,
It is the DPS,
I'm at
isn't it?
least a year younger than what's printed on my driver's
Yeah, you
license
need to
because
get
I've been
that
moving
changed.
so quickly." Also, another suggestion.
Right.
So I suggest, I don't know if you took that as a suggestion, move quick.
Yeah, you gotta go fast.
Yeah.
Move
everything.
quick. The
If
universe
we're-
will bend around.
That's what that was the eternal
Even if you're
message.
seated, just make sure that you're tapping your toes,
Yeah.
your fingers are moving,
Move
your
the
eyes
fingers.
Use as much
No.
energy
Yeah,
as
dart
are,
possible.
your
your eyes.
eyeballs are darting around.
This is what Sonic was trying to teach us.
Sonic, he's not even close to me. Sonic only. I think Sonic traveled. They like estimated it. He travels like 4 or 5 times the speed of sound, something like that. He travels like 500
Pretty
miles
good.
an hour.
That's
I'm a
pretty
big
good.
Sonic the Hedgehog fan, by the way, just for everyone out there.
Stanley's confused.
But this, Matthew, I think you'll have some great things to say about this.
Okay.
So,
Don't
Not
set me up too hard here.
gotta
I
make
don't
this.
know if I
Gotta
can
make this
perform.
hit quick. Gotta make this hit quick.
Well, here's what I was gonna say. This might seem like a slow, quick hit, but that's because of the speed of light.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Go
So,
ahead.
you mind motors out there, you're probably experiencing this podcast at like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi.
Yeah, it's-
For me, it's more like
2.99 Mississippi. I think that's just about how everyone's experiencing this right now, to be honest.
Anyways, so the other variable I want to talk about is gravity, or objects that have a lot of mass.
Uh-huh.
So, if you are caught in a gravitational field, or you
Oh.
are heavily influenced
Wait,
by
is gravity not dependent on light?
gravity can. Oh.
We're about to try to solve one of the
Gravity
hard
can-
problems of fucking physics that no one knows the
Yeah,
answer
but
to.
you can
here.
do it.
Gravity-
This is mind blowing.
This is whatever.
Gravity.
Let's see if Michael can puzzle this out.
Gravity alters our perception of space and time.
What
But
else?
even with and I could be totally wrong about this. This is why I want y'all to email in. Even with
Look
the
at the
gravitational,
Nobel Prize.
even with the gravitational
Million
field
dollars.
present, like if light is traveling super close to like a black hole or a massive planet, it still has to stay at 2.99 times 10 to the 8th meters per
It
second.
never It never slows down or changes.
But I think when it's any objects that's like closer to a massive object, you experience time slower or faster.
Michael, I'm
Ooh.
so not prepared to talk
Anyways.
about any of this. I really don't fucking know.
This is what I want
What?
to say. This is what I want to say.
I don't know.
I could be wrong about this, but I think when you're closer to a massive object, it alters the space-time to the point where you experience more time than you perceive than like somebody who's far away from a massive object. So like if you're like closer,
Massive meaning one that bends gravity.
yeah, that has not bends gravity, bends space time.
Okay.
Something that has gravity is something that bends space time, like warps space and time.
Has
All I
mass.
wanted to say, yeah, has like a large mass. All I wanted to say is that if you are closer to a massive object, you are experiencing more time than somebody who is far away from a massive object.
So get the fuck away
So-
from these objects.
So I'm at the gym, and
Yeah.
I'll see like a 45-pound weight. I'm sprinting away from
Yeah,
it.
that's a big weight.
I'm
Get away
trying.
from that.
I'm freaking out. I don't know how long I've been on this planet. It's really difficult to estimate.
My
because they're traveling
perception
so
is
quick.
just really warped.
Hey, people try and estimate how old they are in years. I'm thinking in
Pounds.
yeah. How old are you? 150
About
pounds.
150 pounds old.
But
And how many eggs is that?
men.
About 2.99.
men, women, if you are trying to stay young, forget all these beauty products.
Uh-huh.
Forget moisturizing your face. Stay away from the weight
Yeah, get away from everything.
and
Look,
run.
The deeper,
Get out of
The
here.
deeper into space you are, the fewer people are going to even be able to see.
Wait, I thought
how
more
old
weight
you
makes you
look.
experience time slower. Wait.
We'll talk about it after the cast because
Okay.
I may have screwed it up. Oof. Oh,
I'm
shit.
lost. Hey, I've been.
I think I got it wrong.
Look, here's
But
what-
this is all like the analogy I wanted to. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
If you're like traveling in a straight line and there's no gravitational field and you're traveling at like the speed of light, you're
Uh-huh.
traveling at 2.9 meters per second, right?
One egg.
And space-time is not warped for you.
Yes.
Like so, but you have no idea like how gravity is warping space-time for you. You know what I mean? Like you're not aware of that. Okay. The same person or this like a similar object, if they're traveling at the speed of light, and there's an object around, a massive object that is warping space-time so that it has a gravitational field, it's folding space-time or like folding the space around so that by your perception to travel the same distance, it is going to take a longer amount of time.
Because it's not a straight line anymore.
Yes, it's like a curve. But like to you, like 100 meters might be this big. But if you warp space-time, it might actually be like that long in terms of like the meters you're traveling. Some like
We'll put a diagram up on the
yeah,
phone.
I don't know. I just wanted to elaborate on that to
What
make
is-
some stupid joke. That's all. And I obviously got too in depth. I don't know.
Hey, I
Here's-
was interested.
Everybody have a question. Here's a point of discussion I want to talk about. So later today, we've gathered here today to record this podcast and to watch The Godfather Part 2. Here's my question to everybody. Is Marlon Brando's acting in The Godfather good? Genuine question. Is that a good performance? Because I was sitting there watching him and I'm like, is this good acting? Because it seems like good acting.
There's that. What did?
It's close. It's. I don't know how to describe.
I think Herzog said that he was like when someone asked him about Marlon Brando, and he was like Klaus Kinski
Kinski.
can act circles around Marlon Brando. He didn't
Really?
think much of him.
He didn't think much of
Max Klaus.
Much of
Klaus Kinski,
Klaus.
the guy who played.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're right. He was in all of her.
I don't remember. I watched The Godfather Part 1 so long ago. I don't
I
remember.
want genuine opinions here.
But
Michael, how do you
Wait,
feel about it?
is
You were
Tony
like-
Soprano a better
I haven't seen enough
leader?
Sopranos.
Actor?
let's talk. Or you mean James?
Is
Gandolfini?
James Gandolfini
Yeah.
a better actor than Marlon
I'm gonna have to
Brando?
say yes because James Gandolfini sold that character. Incredible performance for like 85 episodes.
I
straight.
feel like that's kind of a different
Type of
context though, because The Sopranos is, well, I feel like it's more of a like naturalistic.
Yeah, that's true. This is
thing
like
they're going for.
Going back.
But here's the question.
Going back to the. Or go ahead.
Yeah.
Going back to The Godfather.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Anyway,
regardless if it's a good performance,
it's iconic.
It's iconic.
It's iconic.
It's an incredibly memorable performance. I don't know how representative of an Italian mob leader that actually is, but he sold it. Like, he sold that performance. And I enjoy watching that performance.
Yeah.
I
it's
really
hard
do.
to hear what he's saying.
Come to me.
He's got, I think he literally has cotton balls in his mouth.
He does. He put cotton balls in his mouth to drop his cheeks.
Yeah.
To make him look older. He also didn't memorize any of his lines. Marlon Brando was like a
very good,
kind of a jerk to cast and crewmates because he did nothing to prepare. But he was a very sought after actor.
I cannot understand actors who do stuff like that, who like don't prepare or who like expect the entire crew and cast to like do to just keep doing takes or
improv
like
around them. Basically,
yeah, it's like that guy.
I mean,
who's that guy in Arrested Development? The old guy,
Jeffrey Tambor.
Yeah, like I heard that. Like,
oh yeah,
he's a big jerk.
All kinds of terrible shit's coming out about him.
Well, yeah, but
he's so good on that show.
He's just so arrogant. Like, it's like...
Yeah. That's why I didn't watch the new season.
Back to Marlon Brando.
Back to the
I think like really the only other movie I've seen him in is Apocalypse Now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Iconic.
I barely remember his performance in that.
He sits there.
But the horror.
You know what? I think I might have had a similar reaction to that.
Look.
Go ahead.
I don't
how
know.
do you feel about it?
I don't remember. It at the very least, it's not memorable.
Whoa!
like it's
that can't be the
iconic.
case.
It's iconic, but
Godfather,
it's not.
Godfather performance.
For me personally, it's not like I'm like, oh, that was such a great like performance. I'm like, okay, that was like that's like a cultural icon kind of thing.
Yes.
But it's not like
what I think is
for me personally. Like,
what I think makes it at least an interesting performance is it's very fun to replicate. It's very fun to quote and like play that.
So
character.
is the Joker.
Yeah, and like I think the Joker
great performance.
That's an iconic performance.
Yeah.
And I think we all admitted that on like the first
Dark Knight
segment of the Dark Knight.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean.
So that's what gets me is here's what I really want to discuss is the Godfather, the modern day Joker.
But I think that kind of gets.
Is he a Joker of our time?
Kind of.
I don't think a performance can be interesting without being good.
I mean, that horse head thing, that's pretty Joker-ish.
So what is a good performance?
Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood.
Is that a good performance?
I don't know. I mean...
But how is
tough.
How is that different?
It's tough with like the super dramatized stuff for me.
Here's
is like
a question
hard.
How is that different from Marlon Brando's?
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
I'm not criticizing like your opinion. It's just like what
no.
makes
I
a good
said
performance?
that, but I don't actually know. I guess I'd have to do a side by side or something.
Yeah, I need to watch both movies at the same time.
I can't. I just remember like they're both just such big like. Yeah, they're just like
guys.
iconic.
Heavy hitters.
They're huge. They have their own.
They're gigantic.
They're their own planet.
The camera has to. They literally had to film There Will Be Blood from like 2 blocks away in order to get him, capture him on the camera because he was so big. They had to use perspective tricks to make it look like he's acting next to the other people.
Hey, if you don't want to age,
you could see
quickly,
everyone around him aging.
Don't be around Daniel Day-Lewis. He's too big.
In all those scenes, Paul Dano is like 3 feet from the camera, and Daniel Day-Lewis is like literally like 300 yards away, and it looks like they're the same height.
So what makes a performance good? Does it have to be naturalistic? Does it have to be realistic? Do you have to dedicate a lot of time to it?
I don't think it has to be naturalistic because I think I don't know.
I think like
because I like Klaus Kinski's performance in Aguirre.
I mean,
but
that's
insane.
Isn't that a similar? I don't really see how that's much different than Marlon Brando going in without learning his lines.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Pretty much the same thing.
That's kind of what I'm saying, but I like it. So I don't know if that's just the movie
now here's
or
what
if
I
that's
have to ask. If there was a Francis Ford Coppola quote where they asked him, what do you think about Marlon Brando? And he said, oh, he acts circles around politics. Would you be saying the opposite here?
No, because I like her song.
Okay. So it's purely just, if someone I respect says it's good.
I don't know if that's it. I hope not.
Do you not respect Francis Ford Coppola?
I think he's okay.
What movies of his don't you like?
Actually, I do. I think his movies are okay. I don't know. Like I saw, what's that movie with the guy on the phone?
Conversation.
Yeah, The Conversation. It was good.
Good movie.
It's a good movie.
That's the one with Andre. They talk at the restaurant.
I don't remember.
Andre's there.
What makes
What?
My Conversation with Andre.
I do not know what you're talking about.
For me?
Okay.
So I don't know. I just want to say what makes a good performance for me is you kept me engrossed in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel if you had quotes that I find myself saying with my friends after the movie, you sold the character to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I think the only reason I was thinking about this and the only reason I brought it up is because it did feel like his performance was sort of incongruous with the rest of the cast. No one else is acting like he's acting in that movie. For better or for worse. James Caan isn't acting like they're not doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's also
no, it's fine.
What
and it makes sense for the character too, because he's such a larger than life figure.
Yeah,
I think it is a good performance for the record. I just wanted to bring this up
I think
because it's funny to consider.
I think what's really cool about Don Corleone is I think he really sold well for the first time. Actually, I can't even say. At least for the first time for me, he really sold in a seasoned, old, past time gangster. Very. He was very courteous. He was well mannered. And very little about him. He's not a violent person. He's very calm and collected. And you learn more about him in The Godfather 2, which is why I'm really interested or I'm excited for y'all to watch it. But also, what made him super iconic is the rest of mobster or Italian gangster movies that followed after this didn't really copy Michael Corleone or Al Pacino. They copied Marlon Brando's performance.
True.
I don't know, The Godfather or everyone in The Sopranos reeks of Marlon Brando's performance to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, or some of them do. Some of them do. It's it's derivative from.
They all think
they're Don Corleone,
right? But they're really all Freddy.
Fredo.
Oh God!
Who
I don't
is,
remember this movie?
Who is that actor?
I don't know.
That guy
Fredo?
the guy who plays Fredo starred in 3 movies. Godfather.
I know who you're talking about. He was in Deer Hunter too.
Yeah, he was in
What is his name?
I can't remember.
Shit. No, yeah, because he's in 3 movies and then he died. And
he was in The Godfather, Godfather 2, and The Deer Hunter.
Yeah.
And he had terrible cancer during the filming of The Deer Hunter. And all 3 of his movies, I
forget his name.
I don't know, all 3 of them won big awards or something like that. I also wanted to give a little talk about something with Al Pacino in the first Godfather.
Yeah, I really like his performance because he shows a big. I don't know. I think he pulls off the character arc pretty well from the beginning to the end of the movie.
Well, I'm really happy for you to see Godfather 2.
Right.
Because it will explore Michael Corleone a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But Francis Ford Coppola did not pick Al Pacino for his acting prowess. There's audition tapes of it's James Caan, right? Or Caan?
As yeah.
But how do you pronounce the last name?
I think Caan.
Caan. There's audition tapes of James Caan James Caan acting with Al Pacino,
Right.
and Al Pacino cannot act, cannot act. But Francis Ford Coppola chose him because he just looked right for the role,
Mm-hmm.
and just kept working with him to train him to be this proper actor.
Was that his
actor
first
for Michael Corleone.
act?
I think it was his first big movie, and that kind of paved the way for his career because he was in so many other, gangster films after that.
He's Scarface.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
Dog Day Afternoon,
Bad Grandpa.
Bad Grandpa.
Who is that? Is that Robert De Niro? You know what I'm talking about?
Johnny Knoxville.
Dirty Grandpa.
Dirty
No.
Grandpa.
I'm sorry, I said the wrong Grandpa movie.
Anything else we want to say about The Godfather?
No.
I think the characters of that movie sell the movie.
And here's what I'll say for listeners. Dark Knights was our first movie podcast. I'm just kidding. Forget it.
So,
Good movie. In fact, you might say watching The Godfather is a good use of your time.
yeah,
For the rest of this
suggestion,
podcast.
if you want to watch The Sopranos, you should probably watch the first two Godfathers before you do.
And Toy Story.
Toy Story.
Toy Story. Yeah.
Just because it's a good movie. It's not related, but you probably should watch it.
Yeah.
That should just be the next movie you watch.
Big
The
Hero,
next thing you watch.
Big Hero 6.
I
I didn't see it.
Didn't see it.
Looked like a kid's
It's
movie
kinda-
to me.
Guess what? It is literally a children's movie, so...
So, let's move on to the main segment
Yeah.
of our podcast for today. How are we doing on time?
I don't know.
We're flowing. We're bobbing and weaving.
Oh, we got plenty of time. We're 35 minutes
So, Stanlin, how about you go ahead and introduce this main segment for us?
Okay, well, I forgot how we...
Phrased it.
Well, I think I came up with it because I was in finals mode, reading stuff and writing stuff, and very tired of it. But I guess I kind of realized that happens a lot. With whatever I read or whatever I'm writing, there'll be points in time where I'm really interested in it and really excited about it, and then it'll the excitement or the interest will go away.
But you still have to do it.
But I still have to do it because I'm in class.
Right.
But it almost feels like that should be something I take with me when I'm even done with it, because
What do you mean?
I shouldn't just be oh, well, I don't like this, I don't like doing this anymore, so I'm just gonna drop reading this book halfway through or something. Because I do that a lot, where I just lose interest in a
Right.
subject and then
So
don't finish it.
So what was the topic exactly as we phrased it?
Is sometimes you like doing something.
What is the use of reading something? I'm reading it. What is the use of reading something boring / doing something you don't want to do?
Okay.
I think, or you want to continue?
Well, I just think that has to be a part of it, because it's not
What has to be a part of it?
that you have to
to
have
do
the
it.
moments of yeah, I have a general interest in this topic, but I have to do the legwork of learning the terms, or learning
Yeah.
Whatever it is that is kind of not the most interesting. The most interesting questions are evaluative questions, where you're trying to kind of push the boundaries of the topic. You're asking
That's the fun part.
yeah, that's fun.
The fun part
asking is do gravity and light relate or something without knowing like magnetism, or basic like basic physics.
Michael, do you want to
just saying.
yourself here?
I'm just saying for all of us, like we're not physicists.
Yeah.
But it's fun to talk about like the more complex subjects. But to have any like rigor or real contribution to any subject or topic, you have to
do the legwork.
The background and
yeah.
Well, I was just gonna ask if you guys had like examples recently of where you wanted to like get into something new or learn about something new, but you ended up having to.
Well, that's how it was for this whole class I took this summer.
What was the class called?
It's called microhistory.
Oh yeah, talk about this.
So this is a like very new and kind of experimental field of history where historians are trying to go to like places in history and to people and places in history that normally are not seen as important. They're very small events, and they try and get like the feel of a place or the feel of a situation more like they just try to flesh it out more through like, for example, going into like a small village in Mexico that never had any political or social significance.
Okay. So like establishing the history of an unknown place.
Yeah, basically.
There's like a dog fight going on outside right now. I don't know what is happening.
Yeah, but so this whole class, it's been like, it's been hard because I'm not a historian.
Yeah.
So I don't have the kind of, they have a bunch of terms and like kind of ways of thinking that, I'm not used to. And I had to learn those things, which are very boring. Like they're just like terms that everyone uses, so I have to like know what it is that they're saying, because they'll just assume like in an article or something that what microhistory is or something, and yeah. So this whole class has been like very little of it has been like, oh, like this is like new and interesting. It's more like, well, let me go back to like 1985 or something, like when this thing started, and like try and figure out like why it started, what the terms were that these people came up with, and all this stuff that was in the past, and like, none of that stuff is like what people are in microhistory,
right?
Which is not even a subject I'm that interested in anyway. But even regardless of that, the most interesting questions within that subject are kind of the modern questions of like, are we doing this thing right?
So I have a question. So you took this class. Was the process of like getting yourself up to speed on all these like terms or whatever, was that part of the class, or is that something you had to independently do? And you felt like everyone else in the class was already up to speed on it?
No, okay, so it was part of the class more or less, because microhistory is not a like.
It's so new that they have to teach everybody.
Yeah,
anyway. Yeah.
But a lot of other people in the class were historians.
Okay.
So they had a lot of context of like writing a historical paper versus writing like a literary paper is very different,
right?
Because historians kind of work almost scientifically. And literature
it's not
people,
just criticism.
Yeah, literature people kind of work aesthetically. You kind of just say how you feel, more or less. I mean, you do some like fact checking and that stuff, but history is much more like on that side of stuff. Like you have to verify everything that you say. And I mean that's kind of how I was, because it was very tedious.
Yeah,
but that's kind of the context that like a lot of people in the class were coming from, and then for me it was hard to like write like that.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean,
it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's got to be really humbling.
I mean, but I guess what I'm saying is that there is something to say about that. like, yeah, I was boring, and while I was in the class, I was kind of like not excited about it. But now that I'm done with it, I kind of
You appreciate it.
I appreciate the like, not even like the class subject itself, because I'm probably never going to touch microhistory again.
Yeah.
But I kind of appreciate that learning how to to do all of that legwork and learning that doing that work kind of gives you much more to say about about the fun evaluative questions, which make them kind of not just like superfluous things that you're just like, oh, isn't this interesting?
It's an
like,
actual question.
It goes from like stoner thoughts like, whoa, what was it like to be a peasant?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
What was it like to be a serf?
Whoa. Yeah, like that's what stoners are talking about these days, right? What do you think it was like to be like working in the fields?
I think. Or do you want to say anything, Matt?
Not really. I was trying to think of a good example of something I've tried to get into recently.
I think just naturally, like, us three we have a diverse set of interests, and we're generally curious people. And I've always had an admiration for expertise, or like a fluency in a certain type of discipline. And one thing I've just really figured out is I just stink at history. And it's not even... I kind of do understand why. Like, I'm very interested in history, but I just do not have the mind for it. So I'm always like, I don't know if... I guess a little jealous of people that just, like, history becomes easy for them. Like, I have a natural interest in history, but, like, I think when you have a natural gift for something, like, I think some people are, like, born historians. Like, they have the brain to be able to contextualize that information, like, form a narrative out of it, and keep track of, like, this ruler or this policy or what was happening during this year. Like, people can just actually categorize things by, like, timelines, and I can't. Like, I just naturally can't do it. I've, like, written stuff out. I can memorize it very short term, but, and, like, I don't know, I've never, like, struggled in history courses, but I don't have, like, an encyclopedic knowledge of history.
I think part of that is that...
But, I mean, we're good enough to know that, you know, Nietzsche, Freud, and Einstein were all hanging out together. We know that kind of thing.
Grabbing a beer.
There's a certain... I think there's a certain interest that you have to have in, like, almost like minutia. Like, very small things have to...
interest you.
Be... Like, you have to see that they are, you know, relevant in, you know, I don't know. I
think there's, and this could be completely incorrect, my sister loves history, and in a sense, I think she has, like, a really great passion for, like, romanticizing an era. In that sense, like, she like gets lost in the fantasy of living in that time.
Yeah.
Whereas I look at it in, like, a very objective, factual way. Like, she took, like, a Roman history course and talked about how incredible Tiberius and Nero and Caesar were.
I've taken those kinds of classes. I could never keep all of that stuff straight beyond like the exam.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is, like, I'll only remember, like, the spark notes information for it. Like, I can't give you a narrative of what actually happened.
I think what I do is, well, most things that I learn, I don't do that thing where I romanticize or go into another...
With preconceived notions? Or...
Well, no, I just don't... I always, like, try to extract stuff out of whatever I'm reading. Like, if it's history, and I try to, like, contextualize it in the modern day. But I think historians, at least the history kids that were really interested or who were, like, focused in history in that class, they just like fall in love with
Yeah.
the place and the time and like that era, and then they just like have this ability to like
Yeah.
only to remain in that space, whereas I kind of am like more selfish almost. Like I just like want to be like, okay, I don't care about the names, I just care about like the events that like are similar to something that happened today or something like that. I mean,
you just struck something that I wanted to bring up. I think you have to be honest about what you actually love and what your passions are, because like somebody who actually has like a natural, like absolutely loves history and loves getting into that space and actually can totally absorb themselves in it, like they love it. Like I don't even necessarily enjoy that. I don't necessarily enjoy that, but I still am like, wish I had that historical knowledge, but it's almost like it's like an emotional block. Mm-hmm. Like you can't have the knowledge without the passion for it. You know what I mean? Because I'm always just like reading facts on Wikipedia, and I'm like, 1840, King George came over. And,
yeah, you have to recreate the world.
I just can't. I just
like,
can't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of curious because it sounds like the way you're talking about it, like you brought up the distinction between like literary criticism and learning history earlier, and how, you know, one, the history requires more like analysis and then literature is more aesthetics, but it sounds like the way you're talking about it, the people in that field are like also getting into it aesthetically first and foremost or something, or like that's like their gateway.
Yeah, no, that's true, but it's...
Or maybe just the one builds on the other.
Well, it's that, I think in literature's case, at least, I think the way I look at literature is in that way that I was saying, that everything that I read, I think as contemporary, more or less. Like I don't really, I mean, you position stuff in time
context
if you need to, but that's only if you really need to. Like I feel like for literature,
you think so?
I feel like for literature, at least for me, what interests me about it is like the ideas and how they continue through time. And if they break, then they're just bad ideas.
I feel like a lot of Stanley, you know, I have talked about things that especially you have read that have been older, like Moby Dick and like Don Quixote. One of the things that you always bring up is how like modern it feels.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I like literature, because it doesn't change. Like there's things about it.
Yeah.
For me, the interesting things about it are like what are the threads that like run through all the eras of literature. Mm-hmm. But I think the historian goes back and they recreate a world that was. So they'll recreate the intellectual.
Do you think you get a skewed reading of these like texts? Like, do you think what you're getting out of Moby Dick or Don Quixote isn't necessarily what the authors were writing into it?
But does that ever matter?
I don't think so.
Well,
I'm just curious.
No, I don't think so, because I think they're trying to deal with, usually literature deals with thoughts or with thinking about things that are not in time or place, unless you're reading like political or social stuff, because usually they're talking about like metaphysical things which are not kind of bound by
historical
time or place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Great talk. I don't know. I've been trying to read more about Irish history and Gaelic history, and it's just there's nothing like you can understand trends and I guess historical patterns, but I don't know, if you go back far enough in like a historical timeline, like everything just keeps happening over and over and over again, and it's so difficult to keep track of like who are the big players, who are the aggressors, who's, I don't know, taking advantage of who. And
This is why I can't play strategy games.
Especially with something like
I
Gaelic.
can't play Civ.
Something like Gaelic.
Can't keep them straight.
Or
Who am I? Who am I?
the country of Gael. Like Irish is such a difficult. There's just such a big cultural barrier for me. Like I can't even pronounce the names, and even if I try.
I mean, what are you talking about? We just watched The Departed.
Right.
Did we talk about The Departed on here?
A little bit. I kind of want to talk about that some more.
Okay, so this was kind of the opposite of what I was saying.
Go for it. Doesn't matter. Dialectics, baby.
So there is something to be said about that rigor and
Oh yeah. I didn't even get to comment on
doing doing the legwork.
Mm-hmm.
But there's two ways of kind of absorbing text or media or whatever. And one way is that way where you kind of contextualize everything. You basically do a study on it.
Where you watch The Godfather Part 1 and 2 before you watch The Sopranos.
Yeah. Yeah, like you're
yeah, that's a funny thread. Go ahead.
Yeah, but there's also like reading something just for leisure. Like what is I mean, I guess that's just two different things. Because like you can just read a history book. You don't have to contextualize everything.
Yeah, but it's like...
Or like you can just...
There's so little of the narrative that's put forth in a history.
Or like just for entertainment's sake. Like,
well, I feel like it's... I think what you're actually getting at isn't like reading a history book. It's like, I'm going to read like this historical
like
text.
Twilight.
No. It's less like reading a history book and more like saying like, alright, I'm going to start reading Nietzsche or Freud or whatever with no historical context and see what I get out of that, you know?
Yeah. It's difficult.
It's not necessarily rewarding either. I mean, in some sense it is. You're going to get your own reading out of it with like, but you might not really be engaging with the same thing that the text
is.
Is.
I don't know. I think that's why it's important to maybe read a text like that with somebody and talk about it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I kind of feel like, I'm curious what you guys think about this, but like the internet and everything makes it even easier. It makes both sides easier. It makes it easier to find secondary texts or like things that can give you context or teach you about something, but it also makes it easier to just be like, well, I googled fucking I don't know,
found a
Critique of Pure Reason PDF and I started reading it. Like, I have never taken a philosophy class, and it's like, well, you're gonna get what you're gonna get out of it, but
I mean, I think it's good in
you
general.
think it's a good thing?
Because
I mean, definitely.
I
think we should ban reading. I think
only if you go to university.
I think at this point at our lives, it's kind of frustrating because I feel like, I don't know, and this is how I felt when I was in professional school, but you don't have as much time as you think to become well-versed in as many subjects as you want.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's just, there's so few subjects you can truly take the time to delve into.
Yeah.
Because everything is foundational, everything builds on itself. I don't know. Like, I've just kind of admitted to myself, like, I might as well just keep learning about, I don't know, delving deeper into something like physics or chemistry, because I have the foundation for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it interests me. It interests me so much more than maybe a historical article.
Right.
And just at this point, you have to be honest with yourself
Me
about
too.
what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, I think whatever you enjoy, that's what you... 100% you should, like, challenge yourself and get out of your comfort zone, but I don't know. Become an expert in what you like, in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys got anything else?
No.
Well, we got a movie to watch.
We got a movie.
Yeah.
Long one.
Any recommendations?
Oh, man.
Oh yeah, we should recommend stuff. You guys have anything off the top of your head? I'm trying to think.
Well, I'm reading a physics book.
Yeah.
Not a textbook.
Yeah.
Like a physics for the layman. It's called The Theory of Almost Everything. It's like about
Who's it by? Do you know?
Robert Oerter. Oerter. He's a physicist. I don't know, but he just like writes. So the book is about the standard model, which is kind of cool because it's pretty much all of the physics we know has been kind of brought down to two things, which is waves and particles, besides quantum. So this doesn't cover like quantum stuff.
Nothing makes sense in quantum physics.
Yeah, but it's a good book because I can understand it and I don't have any physics background.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
I think when you were saying like you can find the critique of reason online, pure reason online. I think you have to be careful about. Actually, I'll just follow this up with, or I'll just start out with saying like, be careful whose opinions you're reading about any information.
Be a
That's
white
also true.
nationalist.
What? What'd you say?
It might be a white nationalist.
It's true. Do some.
No,
do some
I was reading I get frustrated with how critical and just dismissive people are in like the comments section and anything.
Yeah.
Because some guy was, I don't know, when I was reading about this relativity theory stuff, like this person was he was talking about like, oh, this makes so much sense for, or, like, completely discard Newtonian physics, and made like some like nice little conclusion and summary of how like we don't how this can apply to like our everyday lives or something like that. And then like the
like
first comment was like,
like
wow, I'm glad we got an amateur to write this article, like this doesn't apply to quantum physics. And it's like what did you add? Like how did you help anybody out with that article? I don't know. People are just like horrible on the internet.
Yeah, we didn't even get into elitism as part of the topic, which can play a big role as far as the path you're led down. But
it's so dumb. My recommendation for the week: I've been doing this program on YouTube called 30 Days of Yoga with Adrian.
Oh.
And I've been
is
doing
that like Whole 30?
Whole 30.
What is Whole 30?
That's what I was going to ask you guys if you knew.
What is
it's
that?
some diet thing. I don't know what it
I think
is.
my sister tried to do that.
Is it like where you...
I have a friend who tried to do Whole 30, or not even a friend, someone I know tried to do Whole 30.
Downgraded
First
from a friend,
day,
by the way. Hey,
first day they did sumo deadlifts and like tore something in their back.
what is sumo
What is a sumo
deadlift?
deadlift?
It's where you just like spread your legs while doing
okay.
deadlifts. But oops.
Jesus. That's Whole 30? I thought it was just a food thing.
But I think it was like, it goes hand in hand with
Okay.
exercising. But I've been doing this 30 days of yoga program. I do it every other day. And I've been reluctant to do yoga because like the few times I've done it, like it takes work.
Yeah.
It's
hard.
It's not easy.
Speaking of leg work.
Yeah. It puts your body in positions you don't necessarily want to be in because you're stretching out a lot of muscles that have been locked up for years and years, sitting in a chair or just sitting incorrectly. Dormant.
Like Mount St. Helens.
But
Or wait.
Is that...
Never mind.
I've been trying to get like a lot of muscles in my lower back and my glutes to relax, and yoga has been helping incredibly with that. So highly recommend yoga.
Do yoga. I have a question. 30 days of yoga. You say you do it every
other day.
Does it take 30 days or does it take 60 days?
60 days.
Oh!
So keep that in mind.
So keep that in mind mode.
If you're doing yoga, you're basically in mind mode the whole time.
It's true.
Boom. I guess I think what I'm going to recommend is a book I am not done with. Pale Fire by Vladimir Nabokov. It's good. Check it out. It's a very interestingly structured novel. It's basically it's written as if it was. So the central part of the book is this poem, this 1,000 line poem by a fictional like professor who was like murdered or something, who was like famous in his own right. But then the frame narrative is an introduction and then like a, what do you call it? Just like
Afterward.
not an afterword.
Epilogue?
No. It's like why can't I think of the word? It's
Epigram.
like a critique of the poem, or like an explanation of the poem, or whatever.
Okay.
But it's written by this. That is written by a fictional character as well, who was the professor's neighbor, who is like very clearly like a narcissist, and
The
like
professor or the critic?
the critic is.
Okay.
Who he's also a professor,
Okay.
but he's like you read the poem, it's pretty explicit what it's about. It's just about like the sadness of this guy's life, how like his daughter died and all this stuff, and then like very beginning of the like close read line by line starts trying to connect it back to how the guy writing it thinks he's like, I don't know if he's delusional, but he's claiming to be this like ousted king of some like European country. And it's really good. It's funny. Check it out. I haven't finished it yet. Maybe it gets bad.
That's
Probably doesn't.
That's the book that was in Blade Runner, right?
Oh yeah, I know. That sucks now because you Google like Pale Fire and it auto completes like Blade Runner. Blade Runner line.
I think it's hilarious how much literature is written by intellectuals, or I don't know, like seasoned professors that are making fun of other seasoned professors.
Yeah.
That's like Robert Bolaño.
Yeah, I'm almost done with House of Leaves, and it's a big.
Oh yeah, that's
jab
kind
at
of a similar idea behind that.
I think like a lot of literature I read is like that. I think
They
that
write
was
what
a
they
lot of
know?
that. Oh yeah, Roberto Bolaño in 2666.
The first bit about the literary critics. What was I going to say? It's weird.
I don't
know.
enough.
I might be spinning off on another topic here, but it's weird how it seems strange that Blade Runner would explicitly reference Pale Fire. I feel like guys don't explicitly reference works of fiction that are going to be way better than what you're making. Like that's a good way to embarrass yourself. I feel like. Anyway.
Does Pale Fire have any ties to nostalgia?
No, don't think so.
Okay.
I mean,
By Tarkovsky?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
That's a podcast, folks.
All right. Just a reminder, if
We're on iTunes. If you're not listening to this on iTunes, you could be.
We're on iTunes. We're trying to get on Google Play. We're on YouTube.
Oh!
And we also have an Instagram that is about to go up.
Oh!
Which is called
Okay.
Mind Mode. Look for us on Instagram. Go ahead and email us at mindmodepodcast@gmail.com. And if your email is interesting, we might give you a shout out.
And don't come to my house, please.
Please don't come
Please
here.
don't come to my house. Not a joke. Don't come.
We're going to go watch The Godfather Part 2. See ya.
You should watch it. You're going to need to watch it. No, I'm just kidding. Goodbye.